Joseph,
Please, ma'am,
you
just
have
give me
been
a
rude
minute.
to me since the moment I came here. You're fired.
People are losing jobs, losing their source of income, struggling to find new jobs that are very limited just to have a stable financial to survive. Every country is going through a problem of unemployment. It happens every time, every second until we cannot avoid it. To understand better, we will go through further in detail on what really is unemployment and Islamic economic system, the types of unemployment, what are the causes of unemployment, how it affects other people's life, why we should solve unemployment, and how does the Islamic economic system manage unemployment. This is unemployment and the Islamic economic system. Unemployment, it refers to a situation when a person actively searches for employment but cannot find work. Unemployment is considered a vital measure of the economy's health. The most frequent measure of unemployment is the unemployment rate, which is the number of unemployed people divided by the number of people in the labor force. Many governments offer unemployment insurance to specific unemployed individuals who meet eligibility requirements. Islamic economics. Even though Islamic economics as an academic subject is still in its infancy, there is a continuous stream of relevant and substantial writing on the many parts and topics of Islamic economics. This new field has likewise arisen from a rich intellectual tradition. Muslim scholars have written about Islam's economic principle throughout history. On one hand, the 21st century was unusually fertile. Theologians, jurists, fuqaha, social thinkers, and reformers have spent a lot of time studying economic difficulties, trying to figure out what lessons can be learned from Islamic sources, including the Quran and Sunnah, fiqh, social thinking, and historical experience. Several points were stressed, including the ban on riba, the dynamic potential of zakat, the concept of property and business, the role of the state, and so on. Many more areas of contemplation and dialogue are currently being debated from the micro to the macro level. Within this rich intellectual basis, Muslim economists seek to construct Islamic economics. Islamic economics, increasingly recognized, cannot be studied in isolation. It can only be realized if it is comprehended as part of a larger societal framework. On the other hand, modern Muslim economists have delved into the sources to understand Islamic ideas and aspirations better. They have grasped the process that Muslim society is undergoing, namely a status quo that consists of a complex of relics of great historical traditions that have been polluted and corrupted by a colonial past, during which a slew of alien values, laws, institutions, and resulting distortions have been imposed. Now the question is, how does unemployment and the Islamic economic system correlate with one another, and why is it important in order to achieve sustainability? We will go through further and see how it affects the sustainable development goal of number 1, no poverty, as well as number 8, decent work and economic growth. Let us see what really is unemployment. Most of us believe that unemployment refers only to unemployed individuals. Society misinterprets much more. We must see the total instead of a single segment. For example, a country's population is split into 3 age groups: children, adults, and retirees. Children and seniors are excluded from the working age since children are too young and the elderly have already retired. Unemployed people are still in the workforce. They are willing and able to work but cannot get a job. They are actively looking for work compared to those who aren't. Inactive people may want to work but they cannot. Let's say students who devote themselves to their education will not look for work until they graduate. Unemployment has 3 types. The first one is frictional unemployment. This is the typical and expected unemployment in the society. People are switching jobs. People change jobs for several reasons, by preference for example. People sometimes want a career they enjoy, so they will search for employment and decide where to work themselves voluntarily. The second type is structural unemployment. Structural unemployment occurs when job seekers do not meet employers' requirements or companies that are far from their homes. The sort of business also matters. If the company is going through a technical advancement, it will most likely to rely on machines more. So, the organization will hire less people and find those with higher intelligence and problem-solving skills. These skills requires time and training that cause the job opportunity to be hard and limited to get. Finally, cyclical unemployment. This form of unemployment depends on either recession or expansion. In a recession, consumer demand falls, so producers provide fewer goods and services. As a result, the company will lay off some workers because they do not need many to create little.
Inform you that your position is no longer available.
I'm fired.
There are few job prospects in this economic slump, so people must compete for them. Because there are so few jobs, the unemployment rate will be high. In contrast, economic expansion reduces unemployment by increasing demand, production, and worker needs.
Now, we'll discuss unemployment's primary cause. Unemployment refers to both employed and unemployed people. Many people assume unemployment refers to jobless individuals. Not all joblessness causes unemployment. For a better understanding, the main cause of unemployment is actually from the demand deficient and supply side of an economy. Hence, what reasons can cause demand deficiency in an economy? First, higher interest rates make borrowing money more costly, reducing consumers' buying power. Next, a long-lasting global recession may reduce fertility rates, indebtedness, and carry opportunities for young individuals. Negative multiplier impact and financial crisis are additional explanations. Negative multiplier effect will cause public sector employees to lose their jobs if the government lowers their money. National income will temporarily drop. Finally, the financial crisis may destroy global industrial output and require a long time to recover. Demand deficiency actually happens when the economy is below full capacity. All full capacity instances have been discussed just now. So, what is the meaning? The economy is below full employment when short-run GDP falls below potential GDP. Under full employment, labor, capital, and other resources are idle. In a recession, aggregate demand reduces production and economic growth. When corporations produce less, they will employ fewer employees. Some companies will collapse, causing layoffs. Many individuals will lose their jobs when manufacturing costs are lowered. Next, there are four supply-side factors. First, job hopping causes frictional unemployment. Next, structural unemployment from a skill mismatch. Third, classical or real wage unemployment occurs when wages in a competitive labor market climb beyond equilibrium. Unemployment is voluntary. This happens when jobless individuals gain from it. People prefer to live on benefits rather than work and may not get the same perks. Unemployment may have both beneficial and harmful effects on a person's life. However, unemployment has more negative effects than favorable ones. Unemployed individuals struggle to meet their most basic needs while simultaneously contributing positively to their country's economic well-being. Jobless people encounter many challenges, including difficulty finding new employment and a decrease in income. In addition, the social and economic effects of unemployment are extensive. It is more probable that an individual may experience negative repercussions and have a multiplier influence on their society if they are jobless for an extended period. Unemployment has many negative consequences for individuals, including decreased income, health problems, mental health problems, and long-term damage to children and young people. Today, everyone needs money to live comfortably. As the nation suffers from inflation, wars, and pandemics, food and other everyday item costs increase, putting a more significant burden on the population and pushing them to find sources of revenue to meet their needs and desires. With so many individuals seeking jobs, unemployment becomes an issue for those who can't find work. So, why we need to fix unemployment? To meet their needs and desires, individuals require revenue. Unemployed people don't have adequate everyday buying power. Families, recent graduates, and youth are particularly affected by unemployment. It may not be an issue for the younger generation since their parents still care for them. However, unemployment may be an issue for parents with children. The financial crisis will affect not just the children's daily requirements, but also their education, emotions, and childhood. In February 2020, the Department of Statistics Malaysia (DOSM) reported that Malaysia's 15 to 64 years old unemployment rate was 3.3%, including homemakers, students, retirees, and those not interested in employment. There are 525.2 thousand jobless. The number of unemployed reveals that many are struggling to find work.
15 to 64-year-old victims have the responsibility to their children and parents. If commitments are not met, tension and guilt will brood in them, causing more significant difficulties. If the unemployment rate isn't reduced, more people will suffer in the future, such as creating mental health difficulties. As we know, mental illness affects one's emotion, thought, and behavior. Mental health illness include depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Long-term financial troubles may cause all of the risk factors listed. This is because the financial crisis produces stress, which prevents the victim from making the best decision. As a result, the number of suicide, child abuse, and mental health problems may increase in the future. So, how does the Islamic economic system manage unemployment? The most serious macroeconomic issue is unemployment. Islamic economic has so many solutions to overcome this problem. People who are poor or have a low income may be eligible for a property allowance. This is due to the fact that certain populations were more financially vulnerable than others. If poverty persists, impoverished people will be less productive due to a lack of resources, making it more difficult to meet basic necessities, obtain health and educational services. Adding zakat or wakaf to alleviate poverty may make it more effective. Wakaf or zakat productive encourages impoverished people, whether they are employed or not, to improve their living conditions via productive work and access to the country's resources. The impoverished can only fulfill their most basic necessities if they have very little money. Furthermore, on expansionary monetary policy may aid in the reduction of unemployment. When interest rates are lower, it is easier for families to borrow money for things like automobiles, houses, and technology. It boosts demand to help the economy to recover. Low interest rates also help businesses to borrow less since they provide them the capital they need to fulfill the rising demand. However, in a prolonged recession, monetary policy might not be adequate. As a result, fiscal policy is required, in which the government may lower taxes or increase spending expenditure in order to aid the economy. The next step is to reduce taxes and increase consumption and disposable income. By doing so, it will increase demand and GDP, causing businesses to increase production and as a result create more jobs to employ people. Cyclical unemployment will decrease when economic growth and demand remain strong, as enterprises continue to function and job losses are reduced. The next step in overcoming unemployment is to invest in good programs that connect young people to education, as well as career opportunities in Islamic economics. In 2010, Statistics Malaysia reported that 65,500 graduates were jobless. Job seekers who are new to the workforce are often lacking in professional and work experience. They may not have the qualification to begin a career, especially if few entry-level jobs are career-oriented. Employers won't educate young people when more experienced adults are available, so they can learn workplace relevant skills like cooperation, communication, critical thinking, creativity, and business expectations. As a result, rather than increasing their employment capacity, entrepreneurship initiatives and training programs should be implemented to provide them with work-related skill and knowledge. Young people without jobs are unable to contribute to the expansion of the economy, particularly during their peak spending years. If adolescents' unemployment is too high, efforts aimed at finding them jobs may help to stimulate consumer demand and tax revenue. To secure a vibrant labour market for our country's future employees, investing in today's project is essential. Finally, let us recap on what we have discussed throughout the video. To summarize, unemployment refers to the people who are in their working age that are not working, but at the same time, they are actively looking for a job. They can either be in three categories of unemployment, which are frictional, structural, and cyclical, depends on the situation of themselves or the business itself. This will then lead to the explanation of the main thing that causes unemployment: demand deficiency by undercapacity of economy, and the other one, supply side results from the three types of unemployment. How bad actually is unemployment, you may ask again? It can literally decrease of individuals' income, generate health problems both physically and mentally, and also damaging the life of a family. Giving these bad consequences of unemployment, we can see that this issue is severe and need to be solved immediately in order to avoid the financial crisis and people will be able to live comfortably. In Islamic economy, everyone should have been provided with basic necessities. With that being said, some of the solutions from Islamic economic to solve the unemployment includes the distribution of zakat and wakaf. By providing these funds, society will get equal benefit and have enough support to survive. As much as we want unemployment to be solved, it cannot remove the fact that unemployment cannot be eliminated entirely. Our job is to make sure that we minimize the unemployment rate to achieve the sustainable goal of number 1, no poverty, and number 8, decent work and economic growth. After listening until now, unemployment is in fact an issue to every country that they have to solve as it gives number of bad impacts to the society. Before we end our documentary, here is a quote by Harry S. Truman. It's a recession when your neighbor loses his job, and it's a depression when you lose yours. Thank you!